Hi everyone, this is Kunal from Loop 91. Today we are in the episode 3 of UI Builder series, and today we are talking about the data resources, or as we have discussed previously, the door in this analogy, where client is what runs the browser, server is where we get the data or the ServiceNow platform, and the link that connects these two layers is the door or the data sources. Today we are planning to cover four things. One, we'll understand where data resources live in UI Builder, their location. Second, we will add a new data resource and get incident record, hard coding its SID. Third is then we would move to dynamically load an incident by getting the SysID using query parameters or URL parameters. And for the last, we will update the record that we got in step 3, updating its short description. So let's get started. If you were to jump to UI Builder, you will find data resources on the left hand side here. Within the data script, the first section that you see is data resources, and you can click on add data resource to add new data resources here. Now for our first demo, we will add a new data resource, and that would be look up a single record. Once you open this dialog, you would be presented with numerous options, but for most simple operation, you'll find the first 5 or 6 are more than enough. First is look up a single record. You can also look up multiple records, but for this demo, we are gonna focus on a single record. Once you click this, click on add, and we will select a table, and that would be incident. And for this demo, we are going to hardcode the SysID that we want to look up. So we will come here and copy the SysID, put in SysID here, and doesn't work. So it needs the number, not the SysID. So let's go and put that, and here we have it. The moment you put in the SysID, it will automatically show you the output here. So when you click on result, it shows you that it got the number, and it also got the unique value, that is its SysID. Now if you want more fields, you can add that here. What are the fields that you want? So click on add. I think we should get short description and also the description. The moment you do that, those fields also appear here. Now you have the description and you also have the short description. So this is done, but always rename the data resources to understand. So it is like you are creating a new global variable, and it is for your benefit that you should rename it. So incident lookup, right? And that is it. Now we will use the value that we got in this to show up here. We will use this text box to show the value that we had on the short description. So click on the text box, go to the value. Right now it is set to static value. We will change it to data binding. You click on this, click on data resource, incident lookup, result, short description, and the value. Now some fields do have different value and display values, but for short description or any other string field, it will be common. So you can use either of those. And we click on apply, and you see it automatically shows us the network storage unavailable, which is the short description that we had here. So to recap, what we did is we added a new data resource. We selected the incident table. We selected the record that it should pull. And then we added 2 return fields that were then given to us using this JSON box, or sorry, pill box, and you could see the values here. Next, what we did was we added those value as an input value to this field by clicking on data bind, data resource, incident, result, short description, and value. We will save this and reload the output page here. you see the short description is now available. For the second part of the demo, what we would do is that we will pass sysID of an incident using query parameters or URL parameters. Now, why would we do that is simply because you do not expect to create a new page just for a single incident, right? You expect that this will work for all incidents and user can come to this page using a sysID and find their details here. So first, for that, we need to modify the settings of this page by clicking on settings, going to general, and add a new URL parameter here. So we will add, and we will call it incident. Once you do that, save it. Now the changes are saved. We can go back to our editor. Once back in the UI builder, you would see something new appear, and that are test values. Because we made this incident sysID a mandatory URL parameter, for rendering a preview, ServiceNow expects you to provide a value. So for now, I put in 1, 2, 3, but we will copy the sysID from this incident and put it here. So once you put it here, click apply. Now, if you remember, when we were looking up an incident, we put in the value that was this, right? So what will change it? We will change this and again bind it. But now, since this is something that will come from the user, so we can go and look up page properties, props, and incident number. The one moment you click it, apply, and we expect that it will load that incident record. So number is 49, right? Now we'll save it and open the preview page again. Now if you see, we have provided the sysID here. Let's change and make sure that this works. So we'll go back to incident, use SNUtils to get to a random record that will be /incident-r, and we have now 27. So we will copy this sysID, go here, modify the URL and put in the new one. And now you see the short description has changed. So what is now happening is that whenever you load a page, demo client, and then you put in the sysID, the data resource will go and look up the incident table for the current sysID and get you the values as we expected before. We have now covered 3 points from a 4 points agenda. We have seen where data resource 11 UI builder, how to add a data resource, and how to connect to a URL parameter. For the fourth part, what we would be doing is we will be updating a record that we have fetched. So let's go to our UI builder. Now let's remove these because these were for previous demo. Let me remove these. I don't need this, I don't need this. And let's remove the whole container by itself, right? So we have now an input which is connected to short description of the loaded incident, and we will now add a button that will allow us to save the record. So we add button, make it primary label, save short description, and we will make it primary in color, save it. Let's reload this page to see how it looks like. Yeah, looks good. We will now change the short description and save it, but we need to make that work first. For that, what we need to do is we will add a new data resource, that is update record. Add. Now there is a difference when you added the previous data resource and this one, and we'll come to that. So we will first mark it update incident so that we know which we are working with. There are no parameters, there are no properties that you need to set. It will be set when we set a event on the button. But before we do that, let me show you something. So when you see when to evaluate this data resource, it says only when invoked, right? But if you were to go to our previous one incident, it said immediately or eager, which means it would automatically execute when the page is loaded or any of the properties that are being used here changes. For example, in place of props, if we would have used a client state parameter, if that changed, this would trigger automatically. So coming back to our data resource, we have added a new data resource, which is update incident. Now let's go to our button and add an event handler. Button click. So what we will do is here we will controller update incident and execute. Once you click continue, here is where we provide the details as to which record needs to be updated. So we will do is incident, which record we will use the prop incident, done, and then we'll set the values that needs to change. So what we will use is short description, and we set it to, if you remember, we have client state parameter which gets the value here. So we will use this update, apply, and add. Now we need to make sure the value in client state parameter is exactly what we want it to be, which means whenever value in this input box changes, we need to make sure we are updating the client state parameter. And how we do that is that we click on the input box, go to events, add an handler, and we would be updating the client state parameter, which state parameter, title string, and then we will attach the event payload field value to this value. So every time value changes in this input box, our client state parameter will copy that value. And now coming to the button, and we will add an event here. We already done this, and the value is set to use the title string. So I think we are done. Let's save it and let's see if it works. So here we are. Let's reload this page. Remember, this is incident 0027, and the short description is please remove the latest hotfix from my PC. We will change it today and today. Save short description, and if we go here, the value has changed. That is about the demo that we were planning to do today. I will add a small thing here, that is, because this is saved, we should show some feedback to user, right? So you can go to data resource, and on events you can add an event mapping, operation succeeded, continue, and we want to add an alert notification. Let the form load. Alert 1, that is good. We don't need, this is an info, right? So heads up, record saved, and the message would be the record was successfully saved. And let's change the info to success, right? Positive. Done, save, and reload. Let's change it to ASAP and record save. This concludes our third episode. We will continue exploring UI Builder in coming episodes. And as always, if you like the video, click subscribe, like, and if you really liked it, share it with others. I'll see you next time. Thank you.